Yo, appreciate your time and just know that I'm SK Crypto K, and today you should join my crypto club. Maybe by the end earn some dividends, so in advance I'ma thank you right now for that sub. Hey! Yo, let's go.
Alright folks, welcome back to my channel. My name is SK Crypto K, and today I will be handling an AMA over with the Pillars group. So hopefully all the audio levels are good. Let me know in the chat otherwise, but I'm gonna jump into this AMA. I think it's right here. Hello, is the microphone working? Oh.
Hello.
Hey. You guys are coming through really soft. Let me, what's going on here? Hang on. Is it me? Can someone else say something? Oh, okay. I think I know what the issue is. Hang on. All right, now say something.
Hi.
Ah, yes, perfect. All right. Let me see.
Yo, appreciate your time and just know that I'm
All right, sorry about that. I was having some technical difficulties. I am here. I am ready. What's up?
By the end, earn some dividends, so in advance I'ma thank you right now.
Yes, doing fantastic, man.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Good to have you back, brother.
Yeah, no, thank you for the return AMA. Yeah, happy to speak about anything Elephant Money related. I don't know if you guys are going to need a refresher on the supply shock that we discussed last time, and or if we just want to talk about all the new stuff. It's however you want to do it. I will take any question. You just tell me.
Well, we've come into this room today so that you can screen share. So I suppose I'm sure everybody in here is relatively well versed with Elephant Money. Why don't we jump straight in with you kind of sharing a couple of bits and pieces that you might want to share, RE Supply Shock, and then we can get into how the new features that have just come in and how the state of play with Elephant Money is today is going to help Bertha and in turn help Trunk in the long run.
Yeah, okay, absolutely. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
All right. Yep, I've got all sorts of little tabs pulled up, and yeah, I mean, feel free to stop me whenever. But yeah, I would imagine, like you said, majority of the people in here are already well versed into Elephant Money, and so I don't need to really go into everything with the Elephant token and the Trunk token, but for anybody who may just not be that interested and you're just checking this out for the very first time, just understand that basically the Elephant Money ecosystem is a supply shock engine that is waiting to happen again. You know, ever since, so on this chart, the blue represents something called the Elephant Treasury. It is the pin to everything. Without it, the system doesn't work, right? And in the great words of an up and coming content creator who's dope, you guys should check him out. But DeFi Springs, he alludes this elephant treasury to a car jack, and I think that is a perfect analogy, because when you think of all of these other speculative tokens like your Dogecoin, your Bitcoin, your Ethereum, everything does not have a backstop built in to their systems. So anyone who gets into any speculative coin, you are at the whim of the people that got in before you. Okay, they have a life emergency, they dump their entire bag, they cause a panic on the chart, and then everyone sells, and there is no backstop that that supports a price floor. Okay, now Elephant with the treasury is a completely different beast, because Bertha, the elephant treasury, is a carjack that's mechanically just getting wound up just a little bit higher and higher and higher, and the car is the price, right? That carjack is lifting the price, and unless someone unwinds that carjack, it does not go down. It does not go down. It goes up faster than it goes down. That's the main takeaway from anybody new listening in for the to this AMA. And just to repeat history, the only way that this blue is the carjack. This blue chart is the carjack. The elephant treasury was going up, and then mechanically someone found a front and back door that extracted the value from it and unwound the carjack. So as exponentially as price went up is how exponentially it went down. But you'll see that this right side of the chart is just an elongated version of the left part of the chart. While this was rapid expansion, the main takeaway is that this blue, this carjack, this thing's winding up, baby. This thing's only going up and to the right. Not as fast, but it's going up and to the right. And as long as that macro zoomed out view keeps this going up and to the right, you will get this same hockey stick in red. Okay? It is a matter of when and not if. All right? So everyone is at the ground floor of this amazing opportunity that we will go deeper into. So, where do you want me to go next?
Well, I suppose one of the questions is going to be, there have been some new things that have been implemented, including the farms, which we spoke about last time. And I think that was just before Halloween. How are they currently affecting Elephant Money in a positive way? And what are we anticipating is going to happen in the future? Let's say a month, 2 months, 6 months down the line, as the markets do eventually start to pick up.
Yeah. So the farms right here, this is a great time to position into the farm. And one of the main reasons why is because it's attractive to a lot of people, and it turns your traditional yield farms on its head, because it is what's it say right here? It's high yield, 0 fee. So that means there are no taxes in and out of this. It's trustless. So it is your own personal vault. There is no backdoor access that the custodian, BT, he cannot reappropriate your funds into anything else. But this is just a really good hedge for people that want to diversify into really any of these top 20 crypto assets like Matic, Cardano, anything really. And the main thing that's awesome about getting into the trunk farms really is understanding that, if you look at the trunk chart right here, this is back when it launched and it stayed at peg. The gut punch to the ecosystem happened, everybody panic dumped, but you'll see it kind of naturally, and it's bounced twice off of this, but it's found a natural floor around 19 cents. And I think part of this is because of the peg adjusted APRs. So you've got an ecosystem within Trunk called Stampede, and it at peg pays at 205% APR, but it's peg adjusted. So because we're down to 19 cents, your Stampede APR is maybe, I don't know, 44%, somewhere in that neighborhood. And there's not a lot of rewards being generated. So there's not a lot of trunk to sell. So, it's kind of found this natural floor until Bertha brings it back up. So what I alluded to in the beginning of this chat right here is that whenever a tipping point is reached with the elephant treasury, there's enough money in it. Sorry, let me rephrase. When you reach a tipping point with the growth of not only Bertha, but all of the other trillions of tokens that come out of the LPs, out of circulating supply, and it's in the hands of users and or Bertha, you really get that parabolic rise in the elephant token price. And when that happens, that is when Bertha can sell a fraction of the elephant tokens inside and pay off the liabilities. And so if you believe in the supply shock being inevitable, because it's already happened once, and now this system is more bulletproof than ever before, and because the blue is rising, it will supply shock again. Inevitable. Okay, if you believe that, then you also will know that trunk will go back up to $1. Okay, elephant token needs to supply shock first in order for the elephant treasury to have enough value coming out in a little daily trickle to buy the trunk on the pancake swap chart, and also redeem the redemption queue and cycle those folks faster. But all of that will support the peg and hold it back up at 99 cents one day. So to finish up, the value proposition of the farms is the fact that you're basically exposing yourself to 50% of trunk, right? Because the other 50% you're entering the pool with is with whatever blue chip asset or stable coin that you want. And right. There's very little downside to trunk right now based on the history, because you're basically getting in at ground floor. And the value proposition is this: if you, for example, get into the BUSD trunk farm. So which tab is that? Right here. Okay. BUSD trunk farm. It's, 24.5% APR. But remember, it's a vault, right? And how these are different and how there's no impermanent loss is the fact that when you put in, let's say, $10,000 of BUSD, because there's no impermanent loss, you will always have $10,000 BUSD. It will always be there forever in time. You can come back 5 years later and still pull out $10,000 BUSD. Same thing for your Bitcoin, your Ethereum. That will never impermanent lose upon itself. Now, the value proposition is this. Let's say right now you have $20,000 in hand. You want to split it and get into this BUSD farm. So 10,000 BUSD goes in, and then you are going to buy $10,000 worth of trunk at today's price. And, you'll basically be getting 50,000 tokens. Let's just say you have 50,000 tokens on hand. So when you enter the farm with one side of 10,000 BUSD, the second side of 50,000 trunk tokens, your total value of the farm is $20,000, right? Because that's what you put in. Okay. Now, this system goes completely off of trunk price, meaning you put in $20,000 into that farm. But if trunk price 5x's back to $1, that so too means your farm value also 5x'd. So your $20,000 times 5 is what?
I get you.
$100,000. Yes, and it's a lot of money. It's $100,000 valued locked in the system, and you want to leave it there because now you're earning a peg-adjusted maximum rate of 125%. On 125% on $100,000 for being an early believer position bonus. And So yeah, you turn 20,000 into 100,000. Now, if you make a mistake and you break that pair up, you're just shooting yourself in the foot, because remember, you only put in 50,000 tokens alongside 10,000 BUSD. So if you break the farm value, your $100,000 that you had locked in there, you're only pulling out 50,000 tokens, which is $50,000, and you're pulling out 10,000 BUSD. So all in all, you're only holding now liquid $60,000. Well, how'd I go from 100,000 down to $60,000? Well, it's because you were dumb. You broke your farm position and you lost your early advantage. So it's a great time to really position into the farms. So I think I'm good on that. And you can do that with any of these. So
Right.
yes.
So one of the immediate questions is, and I guess a lot of people are going to have this question, is it's great that obviously Bank Teller doesn't have access to the funds, can't do anything with it. You're in full control. However, the system does rely on Trunk not having another exploit. And it does rely on Trunk getting back to peg and staying at peg. So before we discuss when the potential for this supply shock to happens, what is there in place now to ensure people and give people trust? It's one of the things we discussed last time, and I'd love to kind of visit that topic. What is being put in place to really ensure and create trust in investors that this kind of scenario is not going to happen again? And is there maybe a space or a time now that it's important for Bank Teller, for example, to start thinking about doxing himself in some way to reinforce that trust and really say to the community, look, I'm here to stay. Elephant Money is here to stay. It is only going to get stronger and better. Supply shock will happen, and we are going to be able to deliver on everything that we said we would, the 8 month almost to the day ago when the exploit happened.
Those are some really good questions.
And I think I have some good answers for you too, man.
Hit me.
For one, Bank Teller's already doxed. His LinkedIn exists. Okay. His face is out there. His name is out there. Obviously, he prefers to go by BT. He's not going to sit there and hold video AMAs all the time. But yeah, he is doxed. He's out there. He's very well known. Now, as far as what systems have been in place, now, I'm of the opinion, and this might be unpopular opinion to the folks that bought in at the high pre-exploit, but that exploit created new innovations. That exploit was arguably one of the best things that could have happened for the longevity of this protocol, because not only, okay, does any other protocol that's like a new team, new startup, low liquidity, whatever they launch with, usually when those things suffer an exploit, they're done. They're dead. They try a V2, it's just dead on arrival. That shit's gone because they never had enough liquidity to support that gut punch. Now, the magic behind Elephant is that it is a deep liquidity juggernaut. All right. The WBNB LP pair alone is 9th largest in the BSC, period, bar none. The Elephant token in the last 1 year has outperformed 100% of the top 100 cryptos. That includes Bitcoin and Ethereum in growth year over year. That is an incredible feature that no other shit coin can claim, period, bar none. And that's despite the exploit, right? So even after the supply shock was unwound, after someone broke that carjack, that DeFi Spring, shout out, brother, said they busted that carjack. And now everything that's been done with BT and the auditors, they've created a new innovation, and that is called the governance strategies. So how that carjack was busted before, remember, is that there was front and backdoor access to Bertha. Like you could straight up inject funds and immediately redeem funds and just loop that over a bunch of bajillion times, whatever that smart contract did, and they extracted the value. But now that doesn't exist, okay? And this is why. I'm going to explain to answer the bulletproof, how bulletproof this shit actually is. So when you think of Elephant Treasury right here, it's wide open, right? All the money coming in. People are minting trunk through the farmers depot for the farms. They're putting into peanuts to grow their stampede bag. You've got the elephant money futures coming out. Like all of this BUSD coming in is just wide open going into this elephant treasury, which is the supply shock lynch pin. All right. Not to mention, you have all the buys and sells of elephant token itself. So you have taxes that are feeding this thing as well. All right. But so if the inflow to Bertha is wide open, the outflow currently is a trickle. It's just a trickle. It's just a measly little amount of coins coming out, selling and trying to support trunk. But, it's just not enough to move the needle yet. And that trickle is by design. This is why it's bulletproof right here. That trickle coming out of the elephant treasury is going into these specific strategies. And the main three I'm going to focus on are right here: the buyback, the peg, and the redeem strategies. So there's only X amount of dollars that are leaving Bertha on a daily basis. There is no instant redemption of stuff. Okay. So these little pools, buyback, for example, the buyback strategy currently, someone just hit this recently, but there's $136 in BUSD for buyback. So if someone calls this contract a community member, there will be $136 that goes and buys the elephant token, and it will then stuff it into Bertha, which has already got a wide open inflow from other avenues. But this buyback just buys some token. Separately, peg. This is the trunk peg strategy. At the moment, there's $2,500 BUSD accrued right here. If I called the contract, that means $2,500 is going to come out of the elephant treasury and purchase 19-cent trunk on the chart. Now that $2,500 isn't really going to move the needle much. The sell pressure outweighs a measly little $2,500 purchase. But when this Bertha value of 10 million, right now it's 10 million. If arbitrarily, if 1% of this is coming out and buying trunk, it's not really moving the needle. But when this thing goes from 10 million in valuation and it's exponentially increasing in value, okay, that 10 million becomes something like 200 million or something. Now, what's 1% a day coming out of 200 million buying trunk? That starts to move the damn needle, and that's what helps put up. So anyway, that's one of the mechanisms. And then lastly, the redemption queue. Same exact thing. This trunk redeem strategy, right now, there is $1,300 in there. And this redeem queue is a burn mechanism to help trunk peg. So essentially, you buy cheap trunk, you throw in up to 10,000 trunk right here, and you will get paid back $10,000. Okay? At, a long time from now, because it's congested at the moment. But when Bertha is bigger and 1% a day or whatever the arbitrary percentage a day comes out and it buys into the redemption queue, that means someone's going to get paid out. So like right now, I have a pending balance of 1,000 BUSD that's waiting to pay me. If I was literally next in line right now, which, I'm not, I'm at, 1806 of 27. But if I was next in line, I could come over to this governance strategy. I can hit, right here, redeem strategy. I can come here and hit the redeem button. It'll call these funds and then it would pay me out. And the trunk that I put into this system is also, is burned. It's burned. So.
And how long is that queue at the minute? From the moment you enter it to the day you get paid out?
It's hard to say right now. It's probably a year. Probably it's a long time. But you think about it too. Okay, if I spent $2,000 and bought trunk right now, $2,000 would give me 10,000 tokens. And if I put that into the system and I wait 1 year, I'm 5xing in 1 year. That's still damn good in DeFi, period. You show me another system that can pretty much do that. And even though that's the current rate of a year, remember, when you slide up this supply shock right here, that means that there's more money going into that redemption queue. It cycles even faster. This will eventually get to a point where this thing is cycling, every 30 days. Then it'll go down to 20 days, every 15 days. You can arbitrage your way and burn all those trunk tokens and lift the peg at the same exact time. And it all happens when we're, elephant token is supply shocking yet again. So
right. And so let's talk about the supply shock. And when do we anticipate we're going to get to that point?
That's hard to say, man. Like, no one has a crystal ball in regards to that. But the metric you pay attention to is the fact that Bertha is going up. That's all that matters. This blue that's going up and to the right is all that matters. As long as that's going up, this red supply shock is inevitable. Now, I think there may have been some math, and I'm not on it. But, okay, so I'm looking at the elephant money holders right now, okay? So the top 4 contracts, you've got the graveyard, which has always minimum 50% of all of the 1 quadrillion tokens. And it'll build up 10 trillion and then it'll rebalance back into liquidity. But anyway, second place, you have BNB elephant pool. Third place, you have Bertha. And then fourth place, you have the BUSD elephant pool. Now, it should be roughly in the neighborhood when we were in that last supply shock, when we were in this shoot right here. Okay, if you go back and look on the blockchain with how many tokens were in the LPs, I lost my tab. It essentially was, at this point, if we can remove another 50 trillion tokens from the LP, and it doesn't matter if it comes out of the BUSD LP or comes out of the BNB LP, but cumulatively 50 trillion more tokens need to come out of the LP and either reside in the hand of a user and or Bertha. That is when we're back into the supply shock shoot. So that is dependent on the community and some of the upcoming features that are coming out. So as long as Bertha is eating, and as long as everybody's, teaching their loved ones, their friends, people get the word out that Elephant's future is secure and the supply shock is going to happen. This can happen as quick as 2 months, maybe 3, maybe 4, right? But, I firmly believe that 2023 is the year that we will not only be, we would have already hit and smashed all-time high. Like pre-exploit all-time high. We would have already smashed that and went beyond. And what's crazy too is that the rate of growth, like once you trigger that tipping point of supply shock, you ain't stopping that shit. It just keeps going, all right? Like, you got to think, nobody knew on this chart when they were watching here and they're like, oh yeah, I'm shilling elephant, yeah, blah, 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 blah. And then like this supply shock came and slapped everybody in the face. Nobody saw that shit coming. Nobody. And when it did, it went from a 40 million market cap up to like 540 million market cap. 40 to 540 in 30 days. 30 days. That is a supply shock of epic proportions. And had that gone undeterred, you'd already be talking about it would have smashed multi-billions in market cap. All right. And so because you have this crystal ball of what happened before, this isn't speculative. This is inevitable that it's going to happen again. And when it does, it may not rise as rapidly as this because now there's more balance into the LP pools for the growth, but it is going to go up exponentially and you cannot stop it. And there's not a human holder big enough that can stop it. And even right here, the biggest red candle that you see in the middle of the supply shock, this is a graveyard rebalance. That was a 5 trillion token sell that happened on the chart and nobody gave a damn. And the thing just kept supply shocking. And that mechanical sell of the graveyard, there is not a human holder. There is not a human holder who can do that other than this person in 5th place. All right. They have 8.2 trillion tokens. and that is a friendly whale. Only this person
Right.
can even do damage on a chart that epic. But even when it happens, and if they decide to do that one day, it's going to be so deep into supply shock, again, no one's going to give a damn. And Bertha's going to continue to eat, and it's going to supply shock more and more.
So certainly it'll be very impressive if Elephant does do, what will it need right now? It would need about 520, maybe 510, 520% to get to an all-time high. So if it does that this year, it will be impressive. But you mentioned the community and how important it is that the community starts educating people. And while I agree with that, I also think it's important for the person sitting at the top and the team, if there is such thing, to really drive this. And maybe there needs to be a pivot into some more marketing. How do you feel about that? Because I know the last time you and I spoke, there was some mention of the direction the marketing might go in. And then Bank Teller himself jumped in and kind of didn't poo-poo it per se, but moved away from the suggestion that that would happen. And I know that as an individual, he's very headstrong. But is there perhaps a softening of attitude towards marketing and maybe thinking, right, we really need to start pushing some kind of narrative in different directions so that we can start getting more people into the system and help this move along slightly quicker than it is? Because the best projects in the world can stagnate if they don't move up at any great pace. You're not going to convince many people to lock funds up, regardless of how much they can return their money with, for a year, post an exploit, without proving that people can, in fact, get their money out, right? So you're looking at maybe another 18 months down the line before you're going to get a trickle of people saying, actually, I managed to however many X my money and I got it out, before people start to look at the system and go, oh, actually really is working. Let's jump in. And that's quite a long time away. And DeFi moves at an astronomical pace. Sorry, I'm throwing a lot of information in one go at you there. So yeah, let's start with the marketing. Like, is there a change of attitudes there for that?
I mean, marketing is always happening, though. Like, it's not your average, let me go pay for, $5,000 AMAs with, all the big people. It's really organic growth that's the healthiest for this ecosystem. Because if you get these pump and dump people that just want to come in for a quick flip, sorry, that's not going to happen. Like, you're investing in an economic engine that is going to turn DeFi on its head. Mm-hmm. Okay. So for one, I mean, those AMAs are happening, and that's fine. But it's really about the organic grassroots movement that's better, because you want to get the community in before you're on the radar of venture capitalists and other big money that's inevitably coming to this ecosystem. So marketing's happening. He pays for a marketing firm, and they're doing their thing, across social media. He's paying for ads and stuff like that. But you do have somewhat of an uphill battle, because like you said, it is post gut punch to the ecosystem. Mm-hmm. And people are so fickle and finicky when it comes to DeFi. They don't have the time to really understand the intricacies of like the stuff that I'm teaching, and what the Bertha is, and how the supply shock and the math like EMH is doing. Shout out, homie. None of that stuff. They don't have the time for that stuff. So that's why, marketing's still going to continue, but the word of mouth is going to blow up, because, some of the next stuff that's coming out with Elephant Money futures. And in addition to that, you've got trading bots that are going to be funded by Bertha and then feeding profits 24/7 into Bertha. That is literally a winning combination, whether you get a brand new person investing in this shit or not. I mean, obviously you want to get everyone in that you can, that you love and you cherish in your life, to change their life. But these trading bot plays that are out here, like this AI protocol and stuff, like, some of them are run by bad actors, obviously, but that is the future of DeFi, when AI gets more and more advanced to be able to handle a pro or a trader's input, to be able to put in the right stop limits and everything. That perpetual profit machine that's going to be feeding Bertha, which is already a supply shock carjack model, that's going to be crazy. And then futures is going to be attractive because that is just a BUSD in and out machine. So let's take, for example, the person who does not care to learn about elephant token or trunk token and this and that and peg adjusted APR. And there's so much going on with the site, right? Well, BUSD is a universal damn language in the crypto space, if you ask me. And you're telling me if I put BUSD into this engine that pays out 0.5% a day, you're telling me that over time I can, you know, I can double, triple, quadruple my BUSD in, and it's all paid by the Bertha model that's going to be supply shocking at that point too. Count me in. Like, those people are going to just they like the sound of BUSD in and out. So I think when those systems launch, when the trading bots are running, when futures is out, yeah, that's going to be its own word of mouth engine, and you're going to get your own YouTubers and people talking about it, because it's just a model that works. And eventually, when Bertha does hit that tipping point and this chart just starts to go green again in the middle of a bear market, like, you know, don't fall for the fake out that's happening on the charts right now. We are still in a bear market. But you know, when the projected real bull run happens at the end of 2023 into 2024, that's going to be a fantastic time for crypto. But there's a high likelihood, and what I believe is that this green chart is going to be happening, I don't know, mid-year 2023. Like, Elephant's going to have its own bull run before the overall market experiences its bull run. And when that happens, when this shit is going green, you're going to be popping up on it. Doesn't matter about marketing at that point, man. Like, even this last time this happened, this green that happened at the last supply shock, that wasn't from marketing. That was not from Telegram circles and YouTubers talking about this shit. That was from algorithmic chart watchers and sites and people just pulling in and just buying just because the chart was going green while the rest of the market was bleeding red. That is what happened last time. So it's not any amount of marketing. That's not the silver bullet. You want organic growth, because the math is just going to make this supply shock again on its own. And futures, which will be the next thing talked about, and the trading bots, you know, that's going to be the 1-2, you know, 1-2 punch that the ecosystem needs to really feed Bertha. Yeah.
Right. And I agree that marketing isn't the silver bullet. But I suppose a different approach at times needs to be taken, especially if you are post something like an exploit. So while I can understand the argument to be made prior, and again, I, you know, like I've said this before and I'll say it again, I have a large amount of trunk currently in Elephant Money, and I haven't tried to claim or withdraw any. I just keep rolling it back in. So it's not that I don't have faith in this system, but I do enjoy back and forth with some tough questions sometimes. So yeah, I understand the argument to be had prior to the exploit, but post-exploit things are different. But what was interesting about what you just said, and I know Bank Teller's jumped into the room, so feel free to jump in and unmute yourself if you want to at any point, Bank Teller. I'd be curious to talk about these trading bots. A lot is being made of them at the moment, in particular because so many bad actors have used trading bots, or the term trading bot, to steal, essentially, and to cheat people out of money. So what is going to make this different and kind of calm people's nerves in terms of how these are going to operate over another protocol? And I'm not comparing Elephant Money to any of these rug pulls that have occurred, but of course, as these rug pulls happen, the optics in the space change towards certain things.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm of the personal belief, and BT, feel free to, I mean, he's probably just coding and listening, and that's completely fine. But I'm of the personal belief that trading bots in the right hands, you know, is a game changer. So these other protocols that are coming out and rugging people, like, obviously trading bots is the buzzword right now, and people are taking advantage of that. Scammers are doing this. And so, you know, everybody should be very careful when they're putting their money into these protocols and use brand new, fresh wallets, whatever it is, because you don't know what you're approving when you interact with that contract. And if these people are malicious, they will, you know, take advantage of you and the current buzz that's happening around trading bots. Now, me being a believer in Elephant and the math of the inevitable supply shock that's coming, you tell me that there's trading bots coming to this shit, and I'm all in. Now, but one of the differences is that, there's not going to be a separate landing page for these trading bots. This is not going to be oh, give us your BUSD and we will promise you 1% back straight to your, wallet and your compounding. That's not what this is. The trading bots are just another tool in the war chest of what's going to be feeding Bertha. So we're in a bear market. There's folks who do not want to invest their funds because it's a bear market. They're scared. But BT has cracked the code on these trading bots, and he's partnering with the right people in the background. And these trading bots are just going to get unleashed. And whether, people want to invest or not, that's your loss. But you want to get in while we're still on the ground floor, because these trading bot profits, and I don't know the percentages, but, he's excited. He's damn excited about this prospect. And those are going to just perpetually be feeding Bertha. And as long as Bertha is growing, which again, when we look at this, as long as that blue keeps going up, that means this red is inevitably going to happen. And one of the, you can look back to the past of what happens here, but as, and this is an old picture, right? But this is bonds, but let's just call this, the liabilities of the system. So the trunk that needs to get paid out, the BUSD that needs to get paid out from futures, everything is growing. I guess everything's growing at somewhat of an exponential rate, right? I'm not going to call this linear and this exponential. I think that the debt is going to grow somewhat exponentially. It's just that the assets are going to grow exponentially faster is what's going to happen over time. And so as the elephant assets dwarf whatever the system's owed, it can easily pay for those things. And in order to grow the assets, right now in recovery mode, we need fresh blood. We need people to teach their friends and family about the genius of this economic engine. But, if it's a bear market and people are a little scared, well, you have trading bots that are going to be working on your behalf in the background too. And you either get in before this thing hits that tipping point and it's too late and the train left the station, or, you just sit on the sidelines and regret it later.
So you said partnering in the background, and I'm going to touch on that because that was one of the things that I brought up last time, was that would there be any partnerships formed? And it was a fairly firm no last time we spoke. So I will touch on whether or not that has changed, and maybe there's more scope for more partnerships in the future. But and I won't dwell on this subject too long. But as a content creator yourself, one of the things that I'm noticing is that content creators are slowly starting to be held more accountable for their words when they're covering certain protocols. And we know, as you said, rightly so, that trading bots is the buzzword that a lot of people are using. And a lot of content creators are covering these projects that inevitably take a lot of money. How do you feel about, as a content creator, how does that feel for you? Are you now ultra cautious in terms of what you cover? And are you getting frustrated that some of these content creators with quite large followings are not covering something like elephant money as much as they are these quick get rich quick schemes?
Yeah, really, really good question. It does suck that, the larger folks aren't covering this. And, part of it is because they just don't understand it, and that's the sad truth. Like they want something that's going to grow their channel exponentially. So they figure, the more shit I talk about, the more communities I jump into, and I'm either going to get wrecked with my community or not. But that seems to be the trend of content creators. And, that's unfortunate because, they're taking payments to shill these things, whether they, believe it or not. Not everyone's taking paid things, but, even for me personally, there's a reason why 90% of my channel is elephant money, because this shit is my de facto number one. Like, this is literally the, DeFi saving grace. And when this thing supply shocks, all those people are going to fold back in. All the big content creators are going to be talking about, oh man, I should have paid more attention to this, and why didn't I? Blah, blah, blah. Like, they're going to have egg on their face when that time comes. And so, I mean, I feel confident in the stuff that I cover. I mean, I do put out some gamble plays out there, but by and large, the amount of projects that I invest in is a handful. Okay, I don't just ape into anything and everything because that's how you get wrecked. Now, I also don't believe in having all of your funds in one protocol, right? That is dangerous as well. But you do want to have some level of diversification so you have an outside source of revenue that can, you can bring home to your community bank, which is Elephant Money. Like it's literally a no-brainer to have, whether you're working a day job and you're putting that income into Elephant as opposed to going out for your $150 dinner with your family, or if you have other protocols you're investing in that you can, you can cash out responsibly and then store it in your bank here to get ready. That's what you want to do. But as a content creator, it's, I mean, I take it very personal if I ever mention a project and it goes wrong. Like, it really sucks. It's a gut punch because like, I know that some of my valued community wouldn't have gotten into it had I not said anything. And when I see that, they lost a good bit of money, like that shit hurts. And I feel sorry for that, and I apologize for that. But at the same time, that's why 90% of the shit I talk about is elephant, because this is going to change everything.
I think I always find it strange that these content creators don't necessarily cover this, that has survived an exploit, and is still around 8 months down the line. And perhaps it is a lack of understanding, but also, and he knows because I said this to him last time, bank teller is polarizing, right? You love him or you hate him, is the sense I get. And the community that he has really love him. And there are some people that almost want to deliberately challenge him. And I often wonder whether or not that plays a part in why these content creators don't necessarily step forward more. And more often than not, some of them are too proud to swallow their ego and say, well, actually, we got it wrong. We thought X, Y, and Z, and that hasn't proven to be the case. We got it wrong, so now we should start covering it. I think pride maybe on their part plays a role as well.
I agree.
Partnerships. Let's talk about those. So the last time we spoke, it was a no. We kind of were Lone Rangers. Those weren't, I'm paraphrasing, those weren't the words that we used, but we kind of want to go it alone. We can go it alone. We're going to go it alone. Are there partnerships in the works? You've obviously got the bots, and something's happening in the background that's very exciting. Is there anything else to note that's coming on the horizon that includes other protocols within DeFi?
Not that I'm aware of. So, if I recall, on the last one, we talked about how, Elephant is going to be that beacon, that lighthouse in the foggy ocean, right? That, everyone's pointing towards. And, building it on your own is way more satisfactory than partnering with another protocol that could fail, for example. So, like even some of these protocols that use, LMS as a service, right? Like, Horde was really good, rest in peace, Horde. But, they borrowed or lent out their protocol to Furio and all these other places. And, that was a bad look. That was a bad look because now Horde fell apart, and now those LMSs all across those partnerships fell apart. It's dangerous in DeFi because you have brand new startup teams coming up all of the time, and they're inexperienced. They don't know what they're doing. They're kind of winging it as they go, or they make a mistake. Even Alpha Capital, it sounds or looks like they're a genuine group of guys, but they stored their private key basically on a napkin in a bar, it sounds like, and they just made a dumb mistake because they don't have the experience. And so BT, rightfully so, has that damn experience. The man's been, in crypto for over 10 years. He's been coding and having successes and failures all along the way. But, the greatest thing about it is that Elephant Money is the culmination of all of those mistakes in the past. And arguably, the exploit that even happened to Elephant Money is the greatest thing that could have happened because it created the governance strategies which is an innovation in and of itself. But I'm not aware of any partnerships that are going to come. But if they I don't think BT would say it could never happen. It's just a matter of it needs to make damn sense, and that team better have proved prove themselves, and not over the span of 3 months. They would need to be a long-standing juggernaut like Elephant Money is itself, because otherwise it's pretty much just a clout chase. Like any of these smaller protocols or exchanges that want to partner with Elephant, it's just a clout chase Elephant, and because it's a juggernaut, everyone wants a piece of it.
Right. Yeah, I think I said this last time. Also, from my standpoint, I think collaborative efforts in this space are vital at this point, and it doesn't necessarily need to mean working directly with one another or a protocol necessarily standing on the shoulders of another, so that if the one at the bottom falls, everything else goes with it. But even from a sharing of ideas and thoughts, and I suppose bringing a lot of positivity back into the space, because one of the things I've noticed, especially over the last couple of months with everything that's been going on, is that it brings the ugly out in people, right? People's go-to tends to be, or appears to be, more that they want to lynch others rather than find ways to positively come together and find a solution. Like you've said, it's a community-driven project, in that the more money that's coming in, the better it becomes. Elephant Money, that is. Now, I wonder what would happen if all 10,000 of the Telegram members, or 10,500 of the Telegram members, put their minds together to rally and do something all together collaboratively to help Elephant Money. You'd see that supply shock happen far quicker. So when I say, I suppose, partnerships, I also mean just from a kind of a collaborative effort of putting minds together. It's one of the things that we're trying to do here, and we have an exciting event coming up for that very purpose, is just to get smart people in the same room talking about things, giving exposure to one another, and just kind of bringing out the good protocols to the forefront, and leaving the bad ones behind and ignoring them, as it were.
Yeah, absolutely.
What else would you like to cover? Is there something else that you kind of are interested in covering that I haven't asked a question about so far?
Yeah, I can dive a little bit into futures. So, if trading bots are kind of the buzzword, just know that they're going to be working on your behalf in the background to feed Elephant, really. And that's going to be an amazing thing. And it's going to be it's very underestimated how powerful a trading bot is in the right hands. I think that several protocols are going to be moving into more of a hybrid model where they incorporate that external revenue, because it's just a must at this point. And I think trading bots in the hands of BT is an example of it being done right. And
right.
What is that? Does this work? Hey.
Hey, I'm suppressed
He's
in that
asked to be
chat,
unmuted.
so I tried to unmute, but I can't.
Oh, he couldn't. Okay, he says you're unmuted now.
Yeah, you should be.
Okay, there you go. Well, there you go. Surprise visit.
Shouldn't be muted. If I can ask David to jump on this just while we're chatting.
Yeah.
David, if you don't mind jumping on this, and
maybe an admin can force unmute him or whatever that is.
You're not muted my end, BT, so I think you might need to unmute yourself in order to chat. But certainly, there's no server mute on you.
Yeah, I still see a mute button around his icon there.
Yeah. I'm sure David or one of the other founders will jump on it. Sorry, where were we? While we're waiting for BT to get unmuted.
Well, Elephant Money futures, and I'm sure he'll want to jump in here, but I think you're gonna start seeing whether they're announced. So, I mean, collaborative efforts where they make sense are cool. Whether they're he's unmuted. There you go, BT.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna go mute. Keep on going. I'll jump in when I have some things to cover, but like I'll let you go and I'll jump in later.
Okay, cool. Thank you, man. Okay, so yeah, I think Mad Hatter, you're gonna see a point where there's gonna be protocols that are just secretly using Elephant in the background. Like they understand the math, they have a brain, and they see that the supply shock is inevitable, and they want to be in at the ground floor. So you're going to inevitably see people that are going to use the Elephant Money farms, the futures contract, which is BUSD in and out, and you know they're going to have treasury investments that that feed Bertha, which helps push it closer to that tipping point. And when Bertha supply is shocking, you know, faster than all get out, it's going to help them too, and their protocols. So Elephant Money futures, basically in its final form. So I know there's been a lot of brainstorming out there. Crypto Stew recently had a calculator, and it was showing very, very generous returns. That's just unsustainable. So essentially what's going to happen now, and I'm going to show you just a quick little spreadsheet that I was working on with Stu. But for everyone listening right now, this is how it works. Okay. So what this is it's a removal of the hyper compounding as we know it in an ROI dApp. So right now, if you're in a protocol that's paying you 1% a day, well, when you compound it for 50 cents, you're essentially throwing that, you know, back into your deposit, and you're growing your deposit. That's the old way, and we've seen how a lot of those protocols that are copies of Bankroll Flow have largely dried up and failed. I think there's only a handful out there that are doing fantastic, that will have longevity. Shout out to Piston, you know, they're still hanging on there after all these other ones have kind of dried up, like you know. But and Arc is a good hybrid that's come out too. Now what this one does, yeah, Arc is fantastic. Now what Elephant Money futures does is, you know, you're gonna pop in money and forget about what you heard before. This isn't like a 2x your BUSD in 200 days. Like no. This is just a 0.5% a day machine. This is, you put in BUSD and you will be capitalizing on 0.5% a day. Now, what happens is you know, if you put in $10,000 right now, as you see on my screen, and you're earning $50 a day, well, you know, as you scroll down day by day, you know, your $50 is starting to stack up, and eventually you'll get to a point where you want to claim it out. So your $10,000 accrued $1,500 in 30 days. And when you claim it out, you drop your current balance from 10,000 minus 1,500. So it becomes 8,500, right? So now, you know, you were earning on a daily basis $50 a day. But when you lowered your current balance, you're still earning 0.5%, but now you're earning it on just 40, you know, you're getting 42.50 a day. So it asymptotically goes down. Now, you can compound in this, but not in the way you think. So if you took out this $1,500 right here, if you took that out and you put it back in, it's just a wash, right? Like, why would you take out $1,500 and just put it right back in? You're just going to put yourself right back at $10,000. Doesn't really make sense. But if you take that out and bank it, and you do the new compounding method, which is essentially, you know, you're going to let your divs grow again, right? So here, let's go another 30 days. Let's go another 30 days. And now at this next 30-day mark, you've amassed, you know, $1,275. But instead of claiming, you're just going to compound it. And how you compound it in this system is you need to bring $200 fresh capital into the system from another place. This is a perpetual cash flow machine, a bank account that if you're earning from another protocol, you want to bring it into this to grow it over time. So that 1,500 I took out before, I'm just going to call that my little gas fee wallet. So I'm going to take 200 of it. I'm going to fresh deposit, and it will take my reward and it will throw it back into the 8,500. So now I'm not quite back at 10,000, but look, I'm damn near close. So now, of the 1,500 I originally took out, I only used 200 of it. I still got 1,300 to play with. So I'm going to keep going on down another 30 days. I accrued another 1,500 bucks. I'm going to spend another $200 and I'm going to put that back in. So now I've crossed the $10,000 threshold, and it's just going to keep growing. And if I keep doing that, if like anyone who works a day job has 200 bucks, okay, in a month's time or a week's time or whatever, if you perpetually feed this with fresh capital coming in, you can extend and grow your daily earnings. So over time, you know, $10,000, you know, we just kept compounding it. And this is just on a 30-day cycle. I mean, if you want to throw in 200 bucks every day or every week, by all means do so, and you can grow faster. But the bigger the bag gets, the more of a snowball effect you get. And so at day 365 here, you basically turned your 10,000 into 4,400, right? And yeah, right. You've exhausted all 1,500, but you should be treating this like a bank, and you can really grow this. And, you know, it's just a function of time. This whole system is 0.5% a day, and you will grow as a function of time. But that cash injection goes into Bertha, and Bertha is feeding those trading bots. And those trading bots are also growing Bertha. So that's circular, and it's going to be amazing. Now, if you were a big fish and you wanted to come in and pop in, you know, $100,000, well, now you're earning 500 bucks a day, and you can do the same system I just talked about. But, you know, after you take your initial hit of 85,000, or really, if you had 100,000, maybe you don't put in, you know, 100,000. Start with 85,000 and hold the 15,000 as your gas wallet or compound wallet. But over time, you turn your 100,000 and it grows. Okay, you see this left column right here; it's just growing. So at your 1 year mark, okay, you've turned $100,000 into $400,000, and now you've turned your daily reward amount from 500 into $2,000 a day that you can take out whenever you need, pay off some stuff, and yeah, just, you know, just let it grow. So
right,
yeah.
These trading bots, is there going to be proof of them trading? I think that's one thing that a lot of people do kind of dial into, and will repeat endlessly until they either see the proof or something cracks at the seams. So, you know, will we be able to see trading results? Are we going to be able to see the pairings that are being traded? How is that going to work?
I don't have an answer for that. BT would have to go there, but I don't think that's really the focus, because this.
Yeah, that's not the focus right now. We can talk about the trading bots later, but that's not going to come into play too much later. But rest assured that I have commercial and open source bots that I'm using and that I have used, because we've done our due diligence there. We have some inked partnerships with well-known open source players and commercial players, and you know, it's all going to be done with probably our own accounts. We might have one managed solution, but the trading bots are not going to be a factor really. Like, they're going to come in later once we've grown the treasury significantly, and we're like literally pulling out $1 million is not a thing. Like, so if you remember the last parabolic run up, we were at 200 million in just the treasury. We pull out $1 million. That's pulling out significantly less than like 100 billion elephant and selling it. So we could basically fund a trading operation with like 5 to 10 million by just selling like one trillion elephant, if that. So and it's not going to be something that is any concern to the front end community, because you're not investing in a contract to use trading bots. The trading bots is a facility used by custody to facilitate growing Bertha. And so it's just a custody activity. And basically if you want to measure how well we're doing as it relates to being able to fund yield for Stampede and for futures and things like that, You're going to be able to see that just by seeing the health of the elephant treasury. But just know that one of the things that we're going to be doing on the back end is running a trading operation. So that's very similar to, we run social media as well, right? The community produces content and things like that, but the community does not directly participate in the actual like posting of social media across all the different channels and stuff. So, but obviously that work we do with social media brings in attention and additional revenue. So these trading bots will be bringing in additional revenue. We'll basically commit a certain amount. Probably won't compound and just send just the profits directly back to Bertha, and then those will be basically paid out in perpetuity. For example, I'm running decentralized grid bots right now that work on like all EVM dexes. So we'll be able to pick pairs, and then when there's a lot of volatility in the market, be able to make a lot of profit there. We're working with Hummingbot, which allows us to do market making across many different centralized exchanges. And we're partnering with the commercial side of Hummingbot as well. So there'll be some more news there. Even things like Circulate.
Oh God.
There was going to be a potential partnership that didn't last. So, but I was,
Circulate money. How long did they last?
yeah.
48 hours.
So
Yeah.
So I actually talked to, of all of the sort of biggest sort of players in the sort of that space. I've talked to all the founders and stuff. And obviously some of them are scammers, like so.
Right.
And some of them are not. So, like PGV, run by a pretty ethical person. Again, operating experience is very important, and even with projects like that and others, like that's what's lacking, but that's what's going to lose all your money, right? So it's just not okay. Like when I was at State Street and Fidelity in my 25-year fintech career, I went through ethics training. I was a systems architect. I was a systems architect. I was a CTO. And I've led projects that are still running. Like trillions of dollars get traded through the foreign exchange system that I built. Um, uh, my bots that are running for my grid bots that are running against the dexes and things. I'm running them on Windows, cringe, but they're running secure on AWS, 100% locked down. Uh, no one can log into them. No one's going to log into them. No ports are open. The single port that's open can only be accessed from my laptop. In my laptop at a particular location. I can change that if I want to. It requires two-factor authentication. Yeah. And I've been operating that cloud environment for like 5 years, and that I have a similar cloud environment running on Google. So, all these things with DDoS attacks and, oh, somebody logged into my FTP. Are you serious? Are you kidding me? Logged into your FTP, and that's how they got the private key. Like that is insane, and just should not happen. And that's probably a lie. Like I'm just telling you that's probably a lie. They probably were rugging as well. I think it. Well, I'm not going to speculate, but please.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
If you're well versed in this space, you have an impressive, extensive CV outside of this space. If something or someone like Circulate Money can come along and almost pull the wool over your eyes, what do you think this space needs to start avoiding those things happening more and more, or to reduce how often it happens, I should say, in your opinion? Because I imagine from your point of view, it must be incredibly frustrating to, like I said about 15 minutes ago, still be around, still have the protocol running and paying out after an exploit, yet these Muppets can come along, convince people to invest a little bit of money, and run away, and they just keep popping up. So fundamentally, where do you think the error is in the space, and how does it get fixed?
Well, that's a complicated question, but I will say what I know. So, for example, with Circulate, I can FOMO. Like people can convince me of things, and
Right.
then I want to I want the space to grow, and so for that reason, I participate in different protocols. I'm in pretty much every single clone of Drip or whatever you want to call it, flow that there is.
Hmm.
Um, I'm in ARC, and
Right.
it looks like it's doing okay. So I'm just compounding there. I'm in Piston. I'm
Uh-huh.
just compounding there. I'm like, I think with ARC, it looks like it's maybe a little bit more straightforward how I get my money out. With Piston, I have no freaking idea how to get my money out. No, but anyway. So in the case of Circulate, when I reached out to them, I put a good chunk of change of my own money, but when it came to talking about the treasury and Bertha's money, I said, well, I want to meet. I want to let's do a face to face. I said, one of the first thing, it was very it would have been an asymmetrical partnership, where hey, I'm paying 3% for you to just like give me this 2%, whatever on these funds that I'm going to give you, basically just same as retail.
Hmm.
I didn't ask him to change anything, but one thing I said was, hey, I want to do a security review with you, and I want to go through everything. I want to go through your design, and you need to be able to disclose that. And he said, "Great, let's talk at noon tomorrow." And when I woke up in the morning, the rug had happened. So I'm
Right.
wondering if I was the catalyst for that. Like, I wonder if he was gonna, you know. Um, so, and then if you look at PGV, uh, the reason that they didn't have that doxing disaster where they were going to do first name, last name, email on chain, unencrypted. I
Right.
said, I went to the Telegram, I went into the Discord, and I waved my hands, and I took my normal abuse that I get, because And by the way, don't believe the hype. So you mentioned something, and make sure I get back to PGVP, but you mentioned
Right.
something about polarizing whatever. That's
Yes.
bullshit. That's bullshit. It's marketing. That's marketing by competitors. Those are paid fudders. TVL is what matters. We have the TVL. What's going on, and I don't want to go too far off. I don't limit this, but like as you're seeing with DCG and things like that, CoinDesk,
Hmm.
these outlets are controlled by uh, investors, and these investors have money in projects, and they actively suppress projects. CoinGecko has actively suppressed elephant money in so many ways over the years. It's a big problem, and
Why
also
do you think that is?
what?
Why do you think that is? Why
Because
do
they
you
have
think they
agendas.
do?
Like it's about money, and these people. We have to remember that these people aren't coming from banking,
Right.
and they're not coming from banking. Money is ugly. If you've seen enough of like the things that are disclosed that Wall Street does, very
Hmm.
unethical. Um, but I come from institutional banking, and I come from large money managers that are entrusted with protecting the world's money. So State Street does settlement for all these banks. Fidelity, um, manages trillions, right? And a
Hmm.
family office money and sovereign, funds and things like that. So it's at a different level. It's just at a different level, and that's where I cut my teeth. Like if I see, like it means nothing to me to like move a couple $1 million. Like it doesn't. the numbers don't register for me. I live in a 2-bedroom apartment. I'm divorced. My wife has the big house in the fanciest neighborhood, taking care of the kids. Like, and I take care of the kids. I see my kids every week. So it's like that. I live a pretty normal life. I treated myself to like a BMW lease over a year ago. That's about as luxurious as my life is. And, until this thing gets really, really big and doing its thing, I don't care to change my life at all. So, but anyway, getting back to PGV, I said, "Hey, buddy, like you can't do this." And he's like, "Who are you?" I'm like, "Oh, Jesus." Uh, I said, "You can't dox your whole community and put all this stuff on chain. You're going to put a whole bunch of people's lives at risk. You can't do
Right.
this." And then we had a 2-hour conversation after that, talking about all kinds of things. And then after that, basically, he mentioned 2FA. I was like, 2FA is a good idea. It really hasn't, even that still hasn't really been done a lot, but, I can tell you how to do it. And then he said, okay, I'll just run it by my team. And you notice that 2FA is not deployed on PGV either. And then last message I got was, I mean, there was enough movement and stuff, and I lost a lot of money with Circulate. I said, okay, I'm going to pull my money out of PGV, but I'll help you with the 2FA stuff Monday. With Piston, Piston had a bad launch. I think I helped them out there too. So I'm behind the scenes in the space. Like a lot of times, people are like, oh, look at BT. He's trying to like, get in our new project. Leave us alone. Worry about your own project. I'm just getting these guys' attention, to help wherever I can, to find out about it wherever I can, and I do so. And people don't, and sometimes people aren't none the wiser. Sometimes I'd be able, depending on their communication channel, how good they are, I can kind of reach out to these teams discreetly. But I've been helping grow the space and keep this space safe. DGen Protocol, I'm an advisor there. I don't like to advertise being an advisor or these things. I just try to like help out. I really want the space to grow, which is kind of different than like, I'm not going to name names, but there are other, large players in the space, who just don't think anything is good and think that it should all be about their protocols. And who there are because their YouTubers speak the same language. Their community speaks the same language, but that doesn't help anybody. So,
so out of curiosity, do you think that there is an element that one of the biggest problems that we have is that the majority of investors themselves don't actually want the space to be cleaned up because it will remove their ability to have those get rich quick schemes?
There, definitely from the, I'm just going to say it, just from the promoter standpoint. And,
Yes.
I'm not going to name names again, but like for the YouTubers that I do talk to, sometimes I'm pretty hard on them and I express my disgust sometimes when they promote things that like really shouldn't be promoted. And they're doing it just for referrals and things like that. So, I think for Elephant Money, we have a 1% referral that's split between, the two actors. It's a straight affiliate link. It's a straight affiliate type of setup, and it gets paid out via Stampede. It's nothing insane, but it can add up.
Right.
But these promoters are, I mean, they're basically incentivized on two sides. They're incentivized on the YouTube side with the revenue that they receive from YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
They're incentivized on the referral fee side. And so a lot of these scammers, 5%, 8% referral fees, their project's going to get talked about.
Right.
So
I tend to agree with you. I think there are, not all of them, but there are some content creators out there who certainly know that they can benefit tremendously from a space that is not going to be cleaned up, and therefore it makes more sense to cover the protocols that are perhaps a bit more that look a bit more glamorous on the outside, while on the inside they are just working to take your money and not really give anything back, right?
Right. And I think from the perspective of Elephant Money, it really has it bothers me a little bit, but not really because again, coming from traditional finance, these projects, a very good successful project can still be like 2 years in the making, and go through several rounds of piloting with a small customer base before it's released to the masses.
Mhm.
That's the general way that I've deployed things. So everything I do is has a sort of long-term mindset, and it's specifically for um, elephant. I really, I really wanted to make sure that everything's buttoned up before we really push out there. Um, and I know that we have a core community that's comfortable with that.
Mhm.
And so, but I think futures is going to be, I think futures is going to be amazing because it's going to bring that flywheel back, and there's no chicken and egg problem anymore. So, it's BUSD and BUSD in, BUSD out. The growth,
Right.
the growth for compounding is very similar to Stampede. 6x. It's a 6x in a year.
Mhm.
The system proved that it could handle that. We did a 10x in 16 days. So we'll be
Right.
able to support those numbers. And also we have caps in place, which are very generous to people who just want to throw down. But we don't let things grow. So for a single account, nothing grows sort of parabolically. So it's pretty good.
And is there a time frame when futures is going to be coming to us?
Uh we're talking hours and days at max. Uh, for futures, we had a pretty good design that came out of the depot, which was a refinement of Stampede. So the depot is used to uh, as basically an OTC desk for trunk, so that when trunk is over 25 cents, it's the best place to buy trunk, and you can buy it without slippage. It's like flash loan proof and all that stuff.
Mhm.
And now futures is basically leveraging the depot and bringing in a couple additional sort of guardrails to allow us to just basically use BUSD outright and basically redeem through Bertha safely.
Right. Um, I'm curious to hear your response. I've heard SK Crypto talk about it, and I don't think we got the opportunity to talk about this last time. If someone is brand new to Elephant Money, wet behind the ears, what is your first suggestion for them, and where is the first place you would recommend people put their money?
It's really simple at this point. Uh, if you're a complete noob in the space and you don't even have like other blue chip assets, then you could just buy some elephant. And then if you are like, depending on your income or whatever, I think everyone should use futures. I posted some models in the main Telegram
Hmm.
just now, where it basically shows if you deposit $200 every day in futures for 3 years, you're going to hit a $1 million account, and then you can draw off of that, and you can pause and start and claim some and add some more at any time. But basically, $200 every week for 3 years makes you a millionaire, and I think a
Right.
lot of people can do that if they have enough time to be in the space. Then that means that they probably have enough resources. People who have to work like 3 jobs or whatever, something like that. That's a different story. And even them, they should buy some elephant, because elephant will um, elephant will go parabolic again. But what really needs to happen is the community needs to go parabolic. And if the
Right.
community can go parabolic, then we're going to be bigger. We're going to be in the top 10 or top 50 easy.
I agree that the community is going to be pivotal. Why are they not parabolic at this point, do you think? Is there any particular factor that you can point out and say, I think that's it? Is it just the overall market conditions and the fear in the space? Why would you say that the community at this point aren't as parabolic as you'd like them to be?
In the 16 days leading up to the run up, on the first spike, the holders went from 7,000 to basically 20,000, and we've hovered there ever since. So
Right.
the exploit was a chilling effect, but we were going to go to the moon, and
Yeah.
we're much bigger now. And for the people who aren't in this core space, in this core community, like if you take everyone who's on this call right now and you intersect that with all the DeFi projects that they're in, every single one of those DeFi projects will know about Elephant Money after Futures does the job that it needs to do. So it's all about the chart, and before the chart, it's all about Bertha, and before Bertha, it's all about yield for the folks that are going to feed Bertha. And now because we have a pure BUSD contract with guardrails on it, there's no chicken and egg problem. And furthermore, we're at a time where there are, we just have a very mature marketplace. We have a lot of people who are, a lot of teams that are saying, okay, we're either gonna support BSC, we're gonna support BSC. We can't ignore BSC anymore. And then there's a lot of teams that are just going straight to BSC. And I think that's and because of the performance of BNB, because of the performance of the Binance organization and the leadership of CZ, like before all of this Sam Bankman-Fried stuff was happening, I've always reminded the community that there's a reason why we're on BSC and nowhere else, and that's basically a takes one to know one situation. He's a very mature operator, and so, I've spent my whole career working with those types of people, so I know it when I see it. So, just very conservative and things like that. So
Right.
that's what it takes.
Yeah. I think you and I spoke last time about him, and you express admiration for him. I'll ask a question that I don't mean it to sound as challenging as it might come across, but is there ever a time where you might consider a redesign of Elephant Money? And I don't mean how it works, but I mean how it looks.
No,
Give a kind of refreshing.
No offense taken. No offense taken at all. It is super high on the list,
Right.
and it's just at the end of the day, it's about the smart contracts. I mean, many of you know that there was a time when I wouldn't open source the contracts. I leave them unverified, and I'm like, you can get in or you can get out. But it was because it was an early phase where, for a lot of the things that we've done, I've never, I mean, in a sense, I'm just gonna say it, like, I haven't done that. I've been in finance all this time, but no one in the world has done this. And for a simple, and to me, this is Caroline Ellison, very simple math, like this is not very complicated math, but it's the interaction of I think when I look at my, like, first of all, it's Elephant Money is not a single contract. It is a network of contracts. So when I'm looking at it, I have my architect hat on that I've worn forever, and I'm thinking I see a whole systems diagram, and I have more in common with a plumber, than I do with like anyone that just deploys a single token contract and thinks that they're done. So it's all about flow, which is why flow had the name. But no, the UI. Okay, first of all, I do everything myself. Part of that is just like security, because unfortunately, we're writing money contracts, and when you make a mistake, you lose money. Make sense? So,
Right.
so we have the rest of our lives to make it look pretty, and I did have a stint, usability wise, it works. Like, people can use it. It's a little all over the place because a lot of it's grown organically. But, there's, every couple of months, I look into vendors that I could potentially work with. Um, uh, but rest assured that's coming. I actually spent like a little bit of money, doing a quick refresh, and I just wasn't satisfied, so I never released it. But I've also worked for and work with, you know, um, agencies that have built some of the best sites in the world. So
Right.
um, that's coming, and but this is all opportunity for people who are here now. For the person who's not going to put in their, buy some elephant because they think the site looks ugly, or they think that the social media is lacking. That's just opportunity for everyone who's here now. The people who have been here literally for 5 years. So
Right.
across
Yeah. I
multiple
mean,
projects.
investors are kind of at times, and I don't mean to insult anybody when I say this, but they're fickle creatures, right? It's a lot of the time, especially in DeFi, a lot of it is about gamification, and
Yeah,
if what they're looking at doesn't look like it can be played as a game, they're very quick to kind of switch their brains off. We're in a TikTok generation where you've got about 90 seconds to grasp someone's attention, if that, and if you haven't got it within that space of time, they're moving on to the next thing. Um, for me, it's kind of what you're looking at and how it appears to the eye can really make a difference to converting kind of eyeballs into money coming in.
that's definitely true. But again, it's sort of, I think SK answered the question with the marketing, and I agree, and it also goes for the site. When people are become when thing when this thing is doing numbers, and it becomes the most ridiculous chart in crypto, which it will become, people don't care. They just want that
Right.
money. Like, so, I think the best example of that is Curve. Curve is horrible. I don't know if Curve did an update, but like I'm pretty sure it still looks like Windows 95.
Right. Yeah. Um, I'm just aware that I've had people now for an hour and a half, so I'm going to kind of wrap it up. I asked you this last time, and I'm going to ask it again. And you're not allowed to say futures, so that answer is off the table. What are you most excited about for Elephant Money this year? And it can even, and I prefer this in a way, be a more personal response in terms of something tiny that you might be doing in the background that you're excited about completing. But from the man that's created and is continuing to create it, what excites you, or what one thing are you most excited about this year?
I think this is going to be the life-changing year for the community, for the majority of the community, and not
Hmm.
just for like people who have, because it's grown organically and it's been a fairly small community. But this is going to be the year with maximum impact for. There's going to be a surge of people that come on, and we're going to be able to positively impact every single one of those people coming on board. Um, and that's what I'm most excited for. And I'm also, I'm excited for effectively getting the word out. I'm excited for this community not being ignored, because at the end of the
Right.
day, like especially from a PR perspective, I care less about me. As a matter of fact, I have people lined up, SK being one of them, who's been with me a long time. Um, but I have people lined up to help carry the load in terms of getting the word out. Like, you can imagine SK on stage, representing Elephant Money at some
Right.
big conference in 6 months. You can imagine, and being able to like go full time. You can imagine Crypto Gal, who's worked for me, who's pretty well known in the space already, and hasn't been able. She used to work with Bankroll back in the day, but she, since then, it's hard to find a good project, and right now she's kind of benched.
Hmm.
And then there's a couple other people just all over, people that are good, people that are benched because there's not a lot of good projects out there making money, and they need to be supported, and they're excited. but we just weren't ready yet. The whole platform has been benched because Trunk is depegged. But with that gone, uh, it becomes more about the community and the people because the chart and Bertha is just going to be performing. So,
Right.
and so I guess that's another way to say that is it's not going to be about me sitting at my island, my kitchenette, coding anymore. It's going to be about everyone else. That's what I'm most
Right.
excited for.
And it's nice to hear you say that, because I'll be the first to admit that when I first got into Elephant, I wasn't I hadn't I didn't dive into, or hadn't been diving into DeFi as much as I have now. And I remember back then that I personally found the way you came across, it rubbed me up the wrong way, but that was more my problem than it was your problem. It was my lack of education in what Elephant Money was doing. It was actually my lack of education in the space and my lack of understanding with how protocols work, and the just the sheer volume of pressure that people must be under when things go wrong. So as I've been learning more, I actually, have come to kind of enjoy hearing you speak. And I think a lot of people will probably feel the same way when they hear you saying, actually, what I'm most excited about is the community and being able to give back to the community. Because for a long time, it's been very much like you say, coding on your kitchenette, right, and making sure that holes are plugged and this gets to where it needs to be. And then when it finally gets there, it's probably going to alleviate a lot of pressure from your shoulders and allow people to see an entirely different you, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
my the amount of one-on-one dates with like a person that could potentially de-stress me, it just doesn't happen. I cancel dates all
right,
the time,
right.
and
Um,
it's yeah.
so my last question, and I am always keen to hear what people respond to with this. What is the one thing that scares you most about 2023 and Elephant Money, and what are you kind of doing to either meet that head on or navigate it?
Uh, the main business continuity planning is something that I'm very serious about. Um, I've had direct conversations with Mike Novogratz, um, who doesn't take it as seriously as I do. And then you're finding
Hmm.
that all these big players are failing. Alex Mashinsky was a hero of mine. Not anymore. He's just a man.
Right,
But I've known him. I've watched his journey, and I guess probably from too afar. But he's someone that like I've known and I've talked to. We go to conference, I see him. And he remembers me, and we talk about things and all that good stuff. Um, but these guys are just everyone's just people, um, and like the biggest I guess no one knows what's going on under the covers for these protocols and these
hmm,
companies and these that are and these individuals that are supporting everything. But from my perspective and for Elephant, the biggest issue is just business continuity and just making sure that in the event of anything that things are still running and everything on chain still runs. This version of the website will keep running. The domain's registered for 10 years,
hmm.
but there's just tons of work to be done so that this thing can run uninterrupted forever. I worry about I mean, I don't worry too much about Binance because there's plenty of people at Binance to worry about Binance, and I picked Binance so that I have a whole thing that I didn't have to worry about.
Right,
Um, um, but yeah, when things start popping off, uh, hey CZ or yeah, probably just CZ. Like somebody get on the horn. Like this, we need you. We need you. Like if this is going to be a performing protocol, if this is going to be one of the flagship protocols on your blockchain, you know, you got to bring us in. You got to bring us in. You got to help protect us. You got to help me, get this off my hands and get this properly supported for your community. Like this BS, gatekeeping and all this other stuff has to stop, because this is about people's futures at this point. No pun intended, but.
Right. But I'll take it anyway. Perfect. I think that's a really good place to kind of leave it. Like I said, it's been an hour and 40. I appreciate speaking to you again. Thank you so much for dropping by. And of course,
Yeah, same here. Thanks for having us.
Pleasure. SK, thank you as well for jumping in and holding the fort at the beginning there, and going through some slides and really dropping some interesting information for us.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you for giving us the platform here, brother. Appreciate you.
Always reach out. Whenever you guys have something that you want to talk about, please do reach out, and we'll bring you in and have another one of these conversations.
All right.
All right, guys. You enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you so much again.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Well, what do you think, folks? How'd you like the AMA?
Thank you, Daniel Johnson and others who have been in here to hang with me. I guess we could just last a couple more minutes here. Let's see.
What we got here? Yeah. Great AMA. Thanks, guys. You're welcome.
That's pretty dope. Do I need to change my jump in the pool every day until CZ from buying? Dude, that would be amazing. Ah, shit, I got BT calling me. All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap this up. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed the AMA. Kicking off 2023 right, so be sure that you spread this around. Give this to your loved ones. Teach them about this amazing opportunity that will be life-changing. So that's all I got, guys. Thank you again for your love, your support. We're all gonna make it, y'all. We're all gonna make it. So anyway, yeah. If you guys like this video, please smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, as well as the notification bell. And until next time, stay safe out there, stay blessed, and make good choices with your crypto.